It's time to talk about another controversial topic, and this time it's about whether or not brushed power systems are still relevant in 2025. I mean, this comes with a brushed power system, so did this, although this one is now brushless. When Arma announced that they were releasing a new Mega 665 range, it did get me thinking, are they totally pointless? A lot of people would argue that the brushed range of vehicles from Arma are actually pretty good because they're a good way to get people into the hobby, and then after you've got used to the truck, you'll go out and look at brushless setups, which will give you more speed and performance. But the issue is these days you can get so much more for your money, especially when you start looking at some of the cheaper Chinese brands like Rolalo and MJX. A lot of the cheaper brands actually offer insane amounts of performance right out the box without even having to do anything. Now, I am a fan of Arma, Traxxas, Team Associated, all the big brands out there, and if you can afford to go down the route of a bigger brand, I would say that's always the better option compared to the Chinese stuff, especially when it comes to parts availability. But what is becoming harder is justifying the lower end stuff from these big brands because the performance just isn't there. For example, let's talk about the Rolalo Omni Terminator. Now, everybody knows that that is one of the best all-round RC cars. It offers exceptional performance right out the box. Of course, it's brushless, it can handle 3S, and I know a lot of people will disagree, but I actually think the Rolalo trucks are actually better built than some of the bigger brands. When you look at the price of the Omni Terminator and what it offers out the box, it does make these cheaper trucks from the bigger brands like Arma a little bit more difficult to justify. Now, I don't want to go off track with this video. I'm not here to compare the different brands. What I do want to talk about today is brushed power systems. Are they still relevant in 2025? Because I am starting to think to myself, I really don't think they are, especially when it comes to 1/10 scale bashers. Now, there's a lot of reasons why I think brushed power systems are considered to be slightly outdated now. They're definitely a lot less desirable than they used to be, and I think a lot of it is because of performance limitations. For example, they're less efficient compared to brushless motors. They offer lower speed and power. Brushed motors do produce a lot of heat as well, which does lead to reduced performance, shorter motor life, and potential damage to other components like the ESC. Over the years, we have seen brushless technology come down in price. It used to be incredibly expensive. Brushless motors and ESCs are now becoming much more affordable, much more reliable and user-friendly. Now, over the years, we've also seen advancements in battery technology. They complement the efficiency of a brushless system. I do think the RC market has shifted towards brushless systems for most applications. You will still see brushed motors on some of the cheaper toys, and of course a lot of rock crawlers, which I'm going to go on to in a moment. But I think when it comes to general bashing, I don't think brushed motors have a place anymore. Now, you did hear me mention rock crawling there, and I think a lot of you are probably thinking, this guy has no idea what he's talking about. Brushed motors are very much relevant in rock crawling, and yes, I do fully agree they are popular with rock crawling due to their smooth low speed torque. But even with rock crawling, a lot of people are moving over to a brushless system such as this, which features some really cool features like FOC, and the best part is a lot of these systems are actually very affordable. So whilst I do appreciate that brush systems are still popular in rock crawling, I think over the years that's also going to change as the prices of these brushless systems start to come down. So is there a future for brushed power systems in the hobby? Well, of course they're always going to exist, especially with a lot of the lower end stuff like the WL Toys cars. Should companies like Arma still be including brushed power systems with a lot of their 1/10 scale trucks? With something like the Gorgon, absolutely, because on 2S with the stock brush system, that is a lot of fun, and it's the perfect way for a beginner to get into the hobby. But with a lot of their other cars, I really don't think there's much point, because most people are just going to replace that brushed motor with a brushless system. And sometimes it's just cheaper to buy the brushless version of the truck in the beginning and not have to spend out all the extra money converting it over. I know a lot of the old school vintage fans are sitting there thinking, hang on a minute, every one of my cars has a brushed motor in it. And again, you know, brushed motors do have their place in the hobby for things like that. I'm really not focusing on the old stuff here. I'm talking about the current stuff and the modern stuff coming with a brushed motor these days. I even asked you guys what you make of all of this, and a lot of you actually agree with me. It's a controversial one, but I think a lot of the bigger brands should actually just start selling more rolling chassis, so that people can just put their own electronics in them. So just bring down the prices, sell us a rolling chassis, and I think a lot of people would be so much happier. So let me know in the comments section what you make of all of this. Do you agree with me? Do you think that brushed power systems are no longer that relevant in the hobby? Yes, I know they're decent for kids getting into the hobby, but even kids will start to get bored of brushed power systems after a while. Now I want to hear from you guys. Let me know what you make of all of this in the comments. Do you think brushed power systems still have their place in the hobby? Are they still relevant? Of course, they're still relevant with rock crawling and of course the old vintage stuff. What I really want to know is, do you think they're still relevant when it comes to brand new, modern, 1/10 scale cars? Don't forget, there's still a chance to win a brand new Rolalo Omni Terminator and a Hebeo Hyper TT 2.0. Check both of those out over on Raffle if you're interested. Cheers for watching. See you on the next one. Take care. Now, if you want to see more controversial topics on my channel, click one of these videos now.